Right, hello everybody, boys and girls, family members, supporters of drivers and the FRL community. This is your Super Sprint Sunday brought to you by FRL. On your Sunday evening, we've got a jam-packed schedule for you tonight. I am Greg. I apologise for missing last week. You were carried wonderfully by my co-host, Mr. Jack Prentice. How are you doing, buddy?
Good evening, pleasure to be here and great to have you back. As you can see, I haven't burnt the place down. Looking forward to another good evening's racing. I think we're in for a cracker.
Yeah, I think Watkins Glen is a real melody of different challenges. There's not too many corners on here, quite a lot of straights, overtaking opportunities. But the car needs to be well balanced. A lot of corners, as you just saw, Rita Heyman's there, drifting it around turn 10 or turn 9. It can really step out you on here and really test your track limit knowledge.
Yes, it can, and not only that, you've got the fact that it's undulating, but the hills aren't just down the straights. You can see, as you can see here now, there's a couple of corners where the trajectory really does change, and when it changes, that really does change the balance of the car. So a lot more for the drivers to think about than you would expect from many other racetracks tonight.
Yeah, and obviously on that racetrack, if you're not already familiar with the FRL SimNet Super Sprint Sunday format, obviously what you're doing at the moment is sat in free practice. We've got a few seconds left before we dive into qualifying. Qualifying is a 10-minute one-shot quali, and what that means is they've got all the 10 minutes to go out and set a lap. So you do your out lap, you do a single push lap, and then you can try and avoid the barrier coming for an in lap. But crucially, you are only allowed to take a fast lap once. That even includes if you push, invalidate your lap, you cannot attempt another one. And the drivers have got the full 10 minutes to achieve that. And then we go into race 1, which is a 20-minute sprint. After that, we will take a small interlude while they reset the server, because in race 2, the finishing order of race 1 will be reversed for everybody that completes 75% of the race laps. And whoever is the back of that pack will go to the front of the grid and vice versa. And that race will be 40 minutes with a mandatory pit stop as they fly as fast as they can on low fuel with pretty unused tyres for the 40 minutes. Now, obviously, on a track like this, overtaking can be done, so it really does mean that the likes of someone like Vermeulen, who can see it set absolutely blistering pace initially, it does have a great opportunity to come to the field. But all the same, wouldn't you say, Jack, that some of the braking zones for these overtaking opportunities can be a bit tense, a bit sketchy?
Yeah, you've got a couple where the line is going up from one side of the track to the other, so you actually have quite a bit of a tighter turn in. So it really does mean that you have to be inventive with your overtaking. Perhaps you might be going into the toe corner, for example, where car number 34, that is Vaclav Pospisil, was just going around now to give us a bit of a demonstration. Or you could try and set them up out of toe going into the heel, which is where he's going down now. You have to be really, really, daring on the brakes going into this corner, which we'll explain another time. Would you like me to go through some standings whilst we've got an out lap?
Absolutely. We'll just go on to Vidler whilst you go through that, because he's the first man out.
Perfect. So we're going to start with Am, and it's still a lead for Alexander Kalugin in the Porsche, car number 334. He is 7 points clear, the Russian, of the improving Frenchman, Jordan Marshall. Marshall, his dropped score was added from last week, so he is on 73.7 points behind Kalugin. They are ahead of Jamie Thacker, a further 7 points behind in the Ferrari, car number 7, with Danny Felix in 4th on 61 points, 5 points behind Jamie Thacker in the 985 McLaren. It's Trevor Mendez in 6th in the 76 Aston Martin. He's also on 61 points, and he's 2 clear of Michel Coppens in the Ferrari, car number 36, with Darren Mark Davis, a former commentator, in the Mustang in car number 27, a couple of points further back on 57 points in 7th. Paul Trotman, who had a disaster last week, is 8th. He is on 54 points, 3 points clear of Daniel Duda in the BMW, car number 97. Dale Kelleher, who had an improvement last week, it was fair to say, certainly impressive race 2 if you haven't seen that. He's on 48 points in 10th spot, and he's clear of Gavin Cherry-Moore, who is not here once again. I think he's left the championship or not turned up. Gavin Cherry-Moore will not be scoring again today. It's Piotr Spaszniak in 12th, the new rookie pole, got a great Ferrari with David Foss in 13th. In silver, we're going to see, obviously, a whole lap from Paul Vidler, so I'll get it done by the end there. In silver, we've got the leader, which is Daniel Starkov. Car number 1, 2, 3 in the Ferrari. He's on 71 points, 3 points clear of the South African driver Reinhard Serfontaine, who won at home in race 2 last week. He's a point further clear of Brooklyn Donkin, who had a strong showing in the Ford Mustang, car number 1777. With Chris Gedman in car 79 in the Porsche on 64 points, 3 points off a podium spot. Lee Colbitz in the BMW car number 94 is in 5th place, 1 point behind Gedman, and he's 6 points clear of Alexei Yablonski in the McLaren. Car number 78 has had a bit of a dip in form recently, should be looking to do better for the end of the season. Marco Lino is 7th, the Italian in car number 68, the Ferrari, on 56 points, 2 points clear of Luke Richings in car number 104, the McLaren 720 GT3. Then Johnny Sharp in 6th in car number 69, the Ferrari, and 9th with Michel van der Waal completing the top 10. Mark Lebrush-Tully is 11th on 37 points. He's back today ahead of Serafino Gabino and Nikita Chakmasov, with Maximilian Mordivec completing the running order. We've now got in pro, and we'll just run through these quite quickly because I know you're on a lap. That is, in the lead is Jared Vermeulen, who's been top pretty much wherever he's been. Car number 1 of the Ferrari, the bright green Ferrari, on 82 points. He's 6th clear of Fabio Travaglioli. In 2nd with Adam Sharp in 3rd in car 37 in the McLaren, just 7 points off of Travaglioli. He's got an 8-point gap to Jay Wazzer in the Bentley, car number 32. With Gordon Brown in 5th, car number 134 ahead of Václav Pospisil in the 34 Porsche 992. Morgan Grace is 7th ahead of Andrew Eden in the Aston Martin, with Fausta Hymans in 9th in the black Ferrari. So we can see Paul Vidler now going across the line. And what's it going to be? Paul Vidler goes top with a 1:44.695. Should be an impressive lap time. I think that's quite high up. Francois de Bont is 10th through absences, more than anything on 50 points in the BMW car number 999, ahead of Mr. Overtaker and Paul Vidler, who's had an up and down season, but is better than what he's shown. Daniel Crossman is 13th, ahead of Matteo D'Amica. Alberto Aragonis is a late addition to the championship in 15th place. Expect him to climb higher and higher and higher as the season goes on.
Thank you very much for that, Jack. So yeah, as expected, we have seen early good pace from Jared Vermeulen. Puts himself top with a 1:44.1. Fiddler about 8 tenths off that. The driver's currently filing nicely into formation with Pro leading, Silver leading Am. We've now got Kalugin heading towards the line, and he does go top of Am for the time being. And then we've got Brush Tully also in a Porsche, topping his respective class as well. We've got car number 76 coming over the line, if I can find him just before the end. No, I've missed him. So there's a difficulty with this format in that we have to find the drivers that are not set in consistent laps.
Trevor Mendes, I think Chris Gedman's going across line car 79, but there's 40 drivers in here now. That's a bit more difficult to track, isn't it? It was all right with me with 30 last week, but 40, a little bit more difficult. So, yeah. Next, you might have car number 10, well, he's done, Jared Vermeulen's done.
So potentially. This one I've picked up is Morgan Grace, who's just come around the toe now. The Porsche is doing well so far, leading 2 respective tiers. The Ferraris, as ever, one of the most well-balanced cars on the game, showing good balance around the track. But I can't tell if that's a little bit of lag in power or Grace isn't actually pushing on this lap.
I think he's trying to get a lap done. Just trying to get a lap in, isn't he? It's certainly very careful. The Porsche can be a bit of a tricky car to drive in low fuel, but yeah, certainly not attacking as we've seen previously. Maybe it might well be he's just trying to get round and maybe win time that way rather than thrashing it. He's going to cross the line now. I would expect this to be off of Brush Tully's pace. Where's it gone? It's not started.
No, it makes sense why he was being so careful.
That would explain a bit more.
About car number 12, this is Mr. Dunn in the Lexus. A straight line speed demon. He's going to be really taking some advantages down the back straight and potentially the pit straight as well. And it's actually quite a well balanced car, the Lexus. Being personally, I'm not too keen on. To me, it feels can be a bit light on the control, but for those that can manage it and shimmy the car around, it's been a faithful servant to those who use it. And Dunn, I'm just scroll quite far up here, goes P6,
Well done,
fourth
because
in
he's
class.
gone P6. Yeah, decent lap time for a car that's not that great in terms of handling. I think he'll be well pleased because he can certainly go racing from there. Next, I think car 34, is that Kalugin? Is he out or has he done a lap? I think Kalugin might be coming across the line. No, he's finished.
He's done a lap. Oh, actually, we picked up Grace before. We know he's definitely on a lap now because we watched his out lap. So let's see, in comparison, how much he's attacking. As the AM tier is really starting to fill out now. Trevor Mendez goes top of the AM class, actually putting Gedman and Vanderbilt between him and Thacker. Kalugin with the early pace in free practice, not quite matching Mendez in this session. Then again, Mendez always a very strong qualifier. But we stay on board with Morgan Grace. You can see the Porsche throwing so much more caution to the wind there through turn 10. Oh, a bit of an unfortunate clipping of the inside curb coming around the final bend, but keeps it out of the wall all the same. Powers towards the line, and a very respectful P4. Still, no one quite getting quite close enough to Jared Vermeulen. Car number 41. That's Travaggioli. We often expect good things out of this man. Oh my goodness, he actually tops Vermeulen. What a turn up for the books. 2/10 in it.
So up there now, I think next across the line is Adam Sharp, but I don't know whether he's on a lap, but I do know that Andrew Eden looks like he's on a lap. So let's see. Okay, perhaps not, because ACC's done ACC things. Car number 19 is crossing the line once again. I think he might fall foul of the rule book, because I can't see. He's not set a time. He's car number 19. He is Serafino Cabino, who makes the rules and knows the rules, so I'll be quiet there. I think Kalugin...
So I'm just going to hop over to Mr. Owen Harris, who had a lot of success last week as a visiting reserve. He's jumped back into the McLaren. He often tends to jump from the Ferrari to the McLaren, not much sharing outside of those two. But he's pushing hard on this one, testing the track limits as he heads around the heel. He messaged me early on this week, wishing me not to rejoin the commentary because he did so well in my absence. But we're going to give him some screen time now, and hopefully commentary curse does not find him as he tests the track limits around the exit of turn 10. And typically the McLaren, not too great with the curbs, but often a bit better balanced than the Ferrari, and he does go P3 in the AM class, P21.
Good luck from baby daddy there, he'll be pleased with that, and he can certainly go racing from there with a car as well in between him and Kalugin, so that'll be pretty crucial. Here's Adam Sharp, who is on a lap, with Andrew Eden just behind, so we'll be watching for those two towards the top end of the standings.
So we've had just somebody else drop in there, didn't quite catch who that was. So across the line goes Adam Sharp, and he goes, P8. Can't get past Brush Tully and join the other Pro class drivers. And then behind
Eden ended up 19th. It's a real medley, isn't it, of Chrome and Silvers, isn't it, at the moment. So, yeah, it's a bit more of a mix than I was expecting. Right, have we got any further drivers out on a lap that hasn't set a lap? I think Kazakevich and Gabino have aborted their laps, so I think that's that. Brown's coming into the pits. Car number 99 is another not long for the pit lane, and that's 94 as well. I think all three of them have either set laps or have not got any time to set a lap. So
we'll leave you the pictures of the cars, but we'll go through the results for you there. So against the run of form from Vermeulen, Travaggioli takes a pole for race 1 for the Pro Tier and overall in this race. Vermeulen, which will, I'm sure, get punchy off the start, having been thwarted with the results of Travaggioli there. Vidler, who set the early pace, maybe went a bit too early, didn't allow for track evolution, pops himself P3. Muta Heymans, P4. Aragoneses in P5, then Morgan Grace in P6. Brush Tully splits the Pro Tier drivers in P7, putting Sharp, Wasser and Clayton behind him, closing out the top 10. Then we start really getting into the Silver Tier drivers of Jablonski, Serpentine, Sharp, 11 to 13. Give me back control. And then you've got Poppersill, a bit forlorn back there, away from the main bulk of the Pro Tier drivers in P14, with Starclough splitting him. Starclough, we know, is quite aggressive, gets his elbows out in P15, so him and Brown, two very experienced drivers, both willing to get elbows out, will be tough for Poppersill to keep behind early doors. Then we have Donkin and Dunn, 17 and 18 in two Speed Demons, the Ford and the Lexus. We have Andrew Eden down in P19. I don't think he quite got his lap together, but then again, we did note in free practice that the Aston Martin is carrying quite a lot of ballast for this race. Then we've got Trevor Mendez in P20 heading off the AM tier pole, with Chris Gedman just behind him, Vanderwall, so he's got two silver tier drivers separating him from his closest AM competitor, which is Thacker in P23. And Owen Harris with a late lap time puts himself P24 in shooting distance for some decent points here. Then we've got Lino in P25, Kalugin and Townsend will have to come through a fair bit of the pack to get to Trevor Mendez. Then drivers, I think, just started to maybe put in a bit more conservative laps. So Colpitts, Richings and De Bont. De Bont we normally expect somewhere around the top 5, really not getting it right all the way down to P30. Then we've got a big stack of amateur drivers. We've got Felix, Coppens, Duda, Kelleher, Vereth, Zabazniak, Darren Mark Davis in P37 and Marshall in P38. That doesn't really look like it. It's a valid lap, but not seemingly a competitive one. And then we've got Kazakevich and Jabino, who elected, for one reason or another, not to set a lap. So,
with the sorry, it's important just with AM because Kalugin's up in 4th in class, but Marshall, who's only 6 points off and has a real shot at the AM Championship, all the way back in 38. We've only got 2 races to go, and there's drop scores to come into this. But one of Marshall's drop scores was Bathurst because he was on Xbox, so that could be really, really crucial for the AM Championship, and certainly something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean the Xbox issue, unfortunately, affecting the full array of leagues and championships across this game and for server users. So obviously the FRL made adjustments to account for the loss of competitiveness for those drivers, the fact they weren't able to attend the events. So I believe, am I right in saying that an additional drop round was added to the championship to account for that?
Correct.
Yeah, so crucially, having looked at how the drivers are lining up, Vermeulen is going to have the outside for turn 1, which, forgive me if I'm wrong, I would take that as the more preferable side of the track leading into turn 1 and then up the hill, wouldn't you?
I'd want the inside for one reason, because I would want to run somebody over the curb. If he was level with me going into the braking zone, I'd want to make it as hard as possible for him to get round the outside. So we'll try and make sure that he was almost at third place his problem. I know Vermeulen and Vidler are stable mates, aren't they? They're in the same party, so there may be a little bit of games at play. But if I was on the inside, if I was pole position here, I'd want the inside because of the way that the track drops away. You get a natural bit of understeer going into the first corner. I'd want to use that really to make it P2's problem. Because I feel that if you're on the outside, you're a little bit more vulnerable to that.
Bit vulnerable to defence if you're attempting to take the position into turn 1. But if your main plan is to set up the run up the hill and take that wider line, maybe try and stabilise yourself with a wider turn in, everything's open going up the hill and slipstream and slingshot. If you can convince the driver to compromise himself into turn 1 and sling it round, it's all to play for.
It is, and there's a natural pinch point on the circuit as well coming out of turn 1, because you can run really, really wide without upsetting track limits too much, but there's a natural pinch point where the wall comes in, because there's a road and I think there's a couple of trees sort of behind that, where the runoff area sort of really, it's quite a sharp finish to the runoff area. So there's going to be a lot of drivers there who'll have to sort of jostle and then immediately bottleneck back in. It does often cause incidents, so we'll wait to see if that does. So that's something for the drivers, especially sort of from about 15th backwards, where there's a higher chance of collisions. That's something that a lot of drivers, especially at the head of the AM class, which Trevor Mendez is back in 20th, is going to have to be really weary for, because Mendez has got still an outside chance of a podium finish, a rostrum finish, a medal in the AM class. So he'll have to be really, really careful with that. Make sure he has a strong finish.
Obviously, that P15 position that you mentioned is where I highlighted at the end of qualifying. Pobbisil, Starclough, and Brown, 3 drivers that are experienced but hard and fair in their driving. That early moves may be really hard fought and crucial jostling for positions. Actually, it's a very just experienced bunch there. Serpentine, Sharp, Pobbisil, Starclough, Brown. All very experienced drivers that. I mean,
you thought we're moving across because Jablonski has to start, or he's starting from the pit lane. Whether he fell to hit driver, whether he fell foul of the qualifying rules. But yes, Jablonski from 11th, no less, will be from the pit lane.
Obviously, crucially, I mean, could be a blessing in disguise. Incidents until they're out onto the back straight. You're never really sure whether or not there might just be an incident waiting for you up the hill. But you can see Vermeulen already sitting at the very front of his box looking to get this going. And we're very soon going to get 5 green lights. You can see the line there, and off they go. All of Vermeulen's pushing to get ahead of the box. He is level, but crucially he's not got ahead. The Ferraris go either side of him. But then Vermeulen turns in and just manages to pinch Travaglioli to the inside of the track, doesn't let him run all the way wide. And then Vermeulen has found a lot of speed. He's now going to be on the inside going up the hill. But then crucially, Travaglioli is going to run it around the outside. It's going to be the inside as it comes onto the back straight. Vidler's got interest from the Mercedes Aragonés head, which means Heymans has dropped back slightly. But these two are going to go side by side into the inner loop. And oh my goodness, congratulations, and that's Vidler gone round. Vidler just too much commitment into the entry, and he's going to lose pretty much every position that he had as he waits to rejoin safely.
Driver error there, a little bit overcommitted over the curbs there, which with cold brakes and cold tyres really don't want to be. Got himself out of position in combat with Aragonés, and that is a harsh lesson there for Vidler. He's had the pace, but this season it just hasn't gone his way. A couple of incidents further back as well. I think on lap 1, car number 123 is involved at the back there. That is Starclough. So he was 15. We sort of picked that out, didn't we? Poshbajil and Starclough have both gone backwards. So yeah, that's exactly what we feared might happen. But yeah, drama on the first lap.
As I saw Andrew Eden try and take a dive on Mendes into the heel there, backed out of it very quickly, but that has invited Brown onto his rear in the Lamborghini. So far, a lot of people running line astern. They're wanting a few more gaps to open up before people really start throwing more elaborate moves in.
We mentioned, didn't we, just sort of post-qualifying, that Marshall was quite far back in 38th, wasn't he? He's up to 19th already. He's had an excellent start. He's already passed Kalugin, but look at Trevor Mendes. He's gained 7 places on the road, got plenty of cars in between him and the next AM driver, which is baby daddy himself, Owen Harris. And yeah, an excellent first lap for Trevor Mendes there, and I really hope he can complete the job now.
As we do go on the board with Mr. Harris, he's got the Mercedes of Marshall all over him, picking up at one hell of a situation. The Mercedes is definitely a faster vehicle, powered by Mercedes, but Harris is going to give him the outside line, but is he going to commit to the turn-in? He does slip in ahead, and Marshall experienced head on his shoulders, ducks in behind, thinks about a dive down the inside, into the outer loop, and backs out.
A little bit too...
Yeah, Kalugin's down the back of that.
Too keen there, the Frenchman. Vermeulen, meanwhile, all over the back of Travaglioli. Well, separated by a tenth. I reckon there'll be a couple of moves between now and the end of the race. But Travaglioli, perfectly aggressive enough on lap number 1. I mentioned, obviously, he wanted to make the understeer the other driver's problem. He just about did it, and yeah, got the job done going into the bus stop. But now, the next part is trying to hold off the fastest man of the championship for 20 minutes.
Yeah, his green to represent his out of spaceness. Now these are critical corners, because Vermeulen really has settled in with a tow rope to the back of that Ferrari. Now does he equal machinery, but how's he set it up? How's he feeling? What's the car feel like underneath him? And can he capitalise to make an early move into turn 1, or is he going to commit to running it up the hill? it does look like Travaglioli has got the car well set up today for defence. Vermeulen not seemingly getting too much for a run unless he can push Travaglioli into a mistake early on in the corner.
Yeah, the thing is, he's never going to get the inside line. So we're going to have a look here. He's never going to get the inside line for the bus stop, so it's futile trying to go around the outside because he's never going to get there. So what he's better off doing is setting it up so he doesn't lose much time through the bus stop. Perhaps having a run either through the right-hander to the downhill left going into the part of the boots that we were referencing earlier, or maybe...
Oh, he goes for a dive into the chute. Or at least it looks like it from that angle. We thought about it. He took a tighter line in. And that will compromise him only for a few corners. He is the fastest man on track. He's holding that purple lap. There's a bit of signage boarding goes flying.
That's the thing, he's cost himself a bit of time, isn't he? So you really want to be setting yourself up to either move into toe or into the heel, because otherwise, you know, you're just going to get handed the outside. It's never going to work. So
I've just picked up Andrew Eden a bit further down. Super close inside. Not Van der Waal. So Van der Waal is now dropped back behind Eden. No, he's holding that off for now. Back.
I think Eden's had a bit of problems.
And that's Harris going through on Eden,
isn't he?
And Harris. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with Eden here, but then Eden's throwing it back down the inside. He's not done. Harris sees that off just fine. But now Marshall tried to dive it down. He's flashing him for some reason or another.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm a fan of the flat light flashing there. I get why, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of the light flashing as soon as you get behind someone, because when someone does that to me, I'll be honest with you, it just hardens me, hardens my driving. Now, Andrew might not be, you know, he's probably a nicer chap than I am, but I'm never a fan of that flashing. Meanwhile, crucial for Owen Harris, that because he's got a car now in between him and another AM driver, and Marshall actually hit the wall coming out the final corner. So, yeah, important for Owen to get that move done. Still got sight of Trevor Mendes. He's about 5 seconds down the road.
Marshall, he has now got a McLaren behind him. That's Richings. The top speed of the Mercedes.
Top two side by side going into toe. Top two side by side as Vermeulen tries to run around the outside. Not going to make it there. Travaglioli blocks it coming out of the exit, and now he's going to have to get his defensive line on going into heel. Doesn't look like he's going to have anything to do here, but he's going to be aware now that Vermeulen is all over him if he wasn't already. And Vermeulen now trying a couple of things in different corners, not just going for the same old where you're going to just be forced on the outside, and that's good because it will keep Travaglioli guessing throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, and it's still, I know it's only 20 minutes, but it's going to feel like an awful long way to go. We're only about a third of the way through this race, and Travaglioli's had no more than about half a second gap between him and Vermeulen. About the only respite for him is that he's lost his rear gunner in Vidler. So he carries on for now. Doesn't look like Travaglioli's got out of tunnel a little bit better. But I tell you what, Vermeulen's got quite a good drive there though. And as much speed as he dropped back, he's now coming back with a good amount of traction. Now, will the blue flags that are coming up, car 89, Vermeulen, yeah, throws a shape round the outside. It makes me cringe. Oh, there goes the dive down to the inside of the outer loop. But can Travaglioli hold it around the outside?
Too wide, Travaglioli. I think Vermeulen's got this.
Travaglioli nips back round to the outside. Oh, he's going to fight it. And he's going to find himself to the inside of the next corner. Vermeulen really gets his elbows out, sends him over the curb. And that's great defence. Gave him just about enough room, but Travaglioli tries it around the outside. And tries a little cut back. Now, how desperate is Travaglioli to get this one thrown back underneath him? But now, crucially, Vermeulen's going to be the first one to hit the blue flag traffic. Thankfully they get out of the way just in time before turn 9. But there are other battles going on. One of those is Gordon Brown on Trevor Mendes for the P12 position. Mendes been holding up a bit of a train for a while. I think some of those have got past since. And I'm not quite sure what's happened to Harris. He's stays only a position or so behind this, but he's dropped quite far back, which wasn't the case earlier on. He was actually...
He's been passing Van der Waal. He was behind Van der Waal, but I've been attacking him for a little while, so I think he's just dropped time. I think he's dropped any positions apart from Chris Gepman may have gotten through at some point. We don't know when that was, but he was busy passing Van der Waal. It took him a little while, but yeah, that's what it was. Passing Van der Waal for position and position only there. So Owen's fine, no issue there, but he's just been relieving Van der Waal of 15th.
So a lot of close gaps here, but a lot of drivers respecting the way of the wind. But I tell you what, Aragoneses, with the battling that Vermeulen and Travaglioli have done, starting to catch up, only a second and a half behind, and does hold the fastest lap currently. So we'll keep an eye on his progress as he pulls towards this leading group. But I think that's the Porsche of Bruce Tully. It's got a bad exit out of turn 6 to shoot, and he's gone wide again. I think he's about to have a lot of company, but behind that, got the Aston Martin of Clayton looking for the inside of Sharp, but then having to run Wazzer out to keep that position safe.
I think Clayton and Sharp had a couple of...
down in P20, De Bont in the BMW heading down the inside of Jamie Thacker, and now he's going to be behind Marshall. So Pro Driver coming through the pack of AM drivers could really shake this up.
Yeah, if you're Marshall, you kind of want to be careful about how you go about this. You don't really want to have a collision with another driver from another class, but you do want to maybe keep a car from a different class between you and your rival.
Coming around the final turn, Marshall and Mercedes and the BMW, I believe, of De Bont, side by side as they're going through the wall at the final turn.
Everything I said went out the window there. Not the most careful loss of position there, and now he's got a rampant Jamie Thacker, who's been pretty consistent recently. I think he's got a rampant Jamie Thacker behind him, looking to do some damage.
Now Lee Colpitt's probably the bigger threat on Thacker at the moment. BMW's top speed heads round the outside on the racing line, but the racing line won't serve you here unless your nose is fully ahead here, but he's going to have nowhere to throw the car into. If they do go in side by side, can they keep it clean? Two drifting cars around the inner loop. Fantastic driving. That's fantastic to watch. Lee Colpitt drifting around the inner loop.
Probably the best move you'll see for something that ultimately means nothing. Great driving from the pair of them. Real trust put in by Lee Colpitt, and yeah, fantastic to get the car stopped and to get the car turned like that. It takes real skill, so he'll be pleased with that, and rightly so.
I've just jumped forward to Clayton chasing Sharp. Now the Aston Martin, with all its ballast, if it can take a good turn 1 and run it quickly up the hill, there's no reason he can't pass Sharp here. This is for position in class, and the Porsche is well clear of Bruce Tully after the dicing they did a few laps ago. Wazzer really playing with the wall there. And keep an eye on Brown behind as well, because he was shaping something up.
He's stuck behind Mendes, who's been a bit of an immovable object, and done really well so far this race. He's moved up to 12th, he's kept the lead of AM, and he's kept a few quick drivers behind him, and Brown and Gepman, patient drivers, and they are experienced heads, but yeah, being held up by Trevor Mendes, who's really grown, come from strength to strength.
So I'm just watching Clayton just show himself in the mirror of Sharp there. Hasn't really put him off. Sharp is so that is Clayton getting all over the marbles, but controlled it just enough to continue to keep Wazzer at bay. Now here go the two admins, bored behind Mendes, unable to get past the two cars that have the ultimate traction in the game, stuck behind a car that has ultimate top speed. But that's Brown going very wide and high up on the banking, but then does find a slingshot on the exit. Does Gedman try it? Shows his nose, but knows that's not the corner for it. Did look a little bit dicey there for Brown. Wasn't quite sure he was going to keep a hold of that one, or how much control he had of that part of the track. It does look like Vermeulen at the top, if you can see there on your side of your screen, has pulled a bit enough of a gap there to start to feel comfortable. Took him about almost half the race to find himself in that position, but we know how much of a good front runner he is.
Yeah, he's just metronomic, isn't he? You just don't get any mistakes. You don't get any sort of chink in the armour there. I mean, I'm just looking at his lap times there, and since he's passed Travaglioli, he's been mid 44.6 when he was defending, but then it's 144.4, 144 flat, and 144 flat. There's 7,000 in between those last two times, so it's
back
just
down
ridiculous.
into 22. That's Vidler making some positions back. Looks like Jabino went a little bit too deep, and Vidler just said thank you very much. And now we might get two Ferraris in half a lap, because he's found some brilliant speed coming up the hill through turn 3. He's at the outside, but he's not going to get fully alongside here. Does he commit to it anyway? Oh, just really well controlled. He did see Thacker bouncing around a bit there, but he stayed committed, but not so much that he may have ran into the back of him with the loss of speed that Thacker found himself going through the inner loop.
Yeah, you kind of got to be careful of your Vidler, because none of this really does gain you anything until you get to Bond 3 or 4 cars in front. You don't really want to be going real crashing with other drivers.
So he's still holding it. He's still holding it. He's making Thacker think. I think he has tucked back in now. But no, here goes the dive down to the inside of turn 8. He's going to have to run him all the way out, squeeze him out to the curb, and there you go. And for his troubles, Thacker's also lost that position to Jabino.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter for Thacker. He's not lost any class positions. He's got Ferreth 4 seconds behind, so pretty wisely driven, not fighting it too hard. Vidler on a bit of a charge here, but I think it's waging war with futility.
So we've got a yellow, so that's Serpentine in the pits for the yellow flag, nothing else.
Yeah.
So as fast as Aragonés was doing, he has now dropped back. Now the top two have settled into a rhythm, but now Heyman's, having seen, I don't know, maybe a bit of a loss of motivation, not seeing that time come down. He's now falling. Aragonés is now falling into the grasp of Wouter Heyman's. Now this would be a great result for Wouter Heyman's. I've not seen him in the top 3 for a while.
Yeah, Heyman's quick. Hasn't always been able to put it together, but he's quick enough. I think it helps that the Ferrari is favourably balanced, let's say that, with 2 kilos only, whereas the Mercedes does have 20, balanced up with Heyman's being a quick driver as well, and it's going to lean things in his favour, let's say. But the Mercedes is going to be no slouch down the straight, so he's going to have to get really inventive, which we haven't always seen from Heyman's in the past. He's going to have to really show how far he's come along.
So, as ever, you're a pro driver at the back of the pack. It's great stuff to watch. You almost get a dress rehearsal of what you're going to find Vermeulen doing in the reverse grid come race 2. Oh, as that is a McLaren just ahead. Was that Van der Waal going a little bit wide exit turn 8? He does look a bit sluggish, doesn't he? Looks a bit down on power, or at least bogging down.
Yeah, Colpitts might want to play this sensibly here. He's normally got his head on his shoulders anyway, but if he does let Vidler go, Vidler might be able to get in ahead. I know we've only got 2 laps to go. Vidler might be able to get ahead and cause some havoc with Marshall and
Colpitts is going for it. Colpitts down the inside. Will Vidler also find his way through? Vidler untroubled. Oh no! I think the BMW got caught out on the curb.
Yeah, that's not Vidler's fault. It looked like that Marshall, when he was on the curb, he unsettled the back end. He lost the back end and speared right across Vidler, that's not Vidler's fault for me at all. I don't think that's any attempt or anything can be just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Whereas Marshall gathering it up just came across his path. So for me, nothing that Vidler could do there.
And I believe that was a Porsche. Car number 32 is a bit further back.
If Vidler's now around the outside of Colpitts going through the chute, I think Colpitts going to run him out just a bit and covers off that 19th position.
So they're not quite making the progress he would like. Obviously, every single car that he passes, unlike the reverse grid, is just getting faster. As we do get the call for the final lap, Vermeulen is going to take all of these drivers around for one more tour of the circuit, Watkins Glen. As you do catch Vidler diving it on Colpitts and just covering the middle of the road, and that upsets Colpitts settling, and that's going to invite Jabino down the inside. Oh, Colpitts really snappy, and he's lost 2 positions in the space of as many corners.
See, that's the thing. If you do fight too hard, if you do fight, as hard as you can with a car that's from a different class, you can often in these races lose out to someone else. Owen Harris, meanwhile, has come into the pit lane, so I wonder if he's underfueled, because he's now in the pit lane. So what was second is now going to be, well, last in class. He'll get reverse grids, favours, but I wonder if he's underfueled there.
Wouldn't be the first time for Mr. Harris.
You sound like you speak from experience.
I do speak from experience.
In that case, yeah, disappointing. It was a really good run, but disappointing for the man who was second in AM. Meanwhile, I think we were on a battle for 6th. Bristolli still holding his own amongst a load of pros, isn't he? Yeah,
he's not lost that position at all, has he? He's just held on to it. Ricardo.
He's shown flashes of this before, in other series, in Thursday nights in Indy. He's shown flashes of this before, and then there's just a couple of weekends where he's just sort of off colour. So we have the lead now go through the final corner.
So Jared Vermeulen doing what Jared Vermeulen does, knocks things to outer space and wins race 1 of Super Sprint Sundays round 6, followed by Travaggioli. Aragoneses will hold off Wouter Heymans, didn't quite find himself closer behind him. Morgan Grace, after a few overtakes, and driven quite a lonely race. And Brush Tully, fantastic drive there. And Sharp sees off Clayton and Wazza, who stayed in formation the entire way. Then Dunn comes home for a P2 in class, followed by Donkin in the Mustang. And Gedman, obviously, unlike his admin friend, Gordon Brown, did not manage to get past Mendes, who does take a commanding AM tier win. We've got a flurry of AM drivers.
Really well pleased with that, because that's an excellent drive. To stay 13th, to move up when you've just got pros and silvers in front of you and with plenty behind you, I think to move up in an AM class, that far, is something really to be applauded there from Trevor Mendes. I think that's an excellent drive.
And then we have Thacker coming in for a P2 in class, Ferrer for a P3. Rich Ings with a fairly damaged McLaren, I think is going to test the barrier for us, maybe. Or the rear end of Klugen's car. And Colpitts couldn't quite catch up with Darren Mark Davis. Marshall, after a promising initial run with a very damaged, can see what he's taken on holiday in that boot. And we've got Duda coming home towards the back of the AM class, and Lino as well, and we've got a few drivers in the pits.
Roberts had a couple of dramas at the end, didn't he? Because he was with Gabino, he was towards the sharp end of silver, wasn't he? He'd have been about 5th or 6th in class, and he's dropped now to 29, so he's dropped about 8 positions there. I wonder what's happened there. I'll try to see if I can find that out, because he wasn't 29th, was he?
No. And I think I can confirm that I think Harris, with his pit stop at the end, for whatever reason, will go to reverse grid pole. We don't have confirmation of what Kelleher did yet, so that may yet be decided. But actually, no, maybe Zabazniak will take it, actually, with 3 laps.
Is it 80%? I think you've got to complete,
I think it's
isn't it?
75. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the two. Let's have a look. 5 laps. Well, that's 3 laps. He's borderline Spazniak, but anything behind him, so like a Darren Townsend, for example, might find himself in strife with that. I think he'll be starting towards the back.
So yeah, that was your race 1, everybody. I'm just going to quickly grab the highlights for us to watch over whilst we have our interlude leading into race 2. And obviously in that time, we'll make sure you know about everything that's going on in FRL. Oh, I've saved the wrong thing. I wonder if I come out and go back in, or let me do it. If not, come on. Ah, there we go. See, not all hope is lost. So we say goodbye to the server for about 5 minutes, whilst we look to get into race 2, which is your 40 minutes with a mandatory pit stop with a reverse grid. So I think it'll be quite easy to hand out some of the. I think they've asked us to do drivers of the day, but I think we can probably nominate Trevor Mendez, initially from AM class, as one of the candidates for driver of the day from race 1. Not to mention that Jabino actually did come from the back, it seems, from 40th position to get his position, I think, in the top 30. Oh,
yeah, he's ended up 21st, hasn't he? So he's got a lot of work done. Yeah, interested to see how Starkloff and Poshbashil were in contact when they got to the apex of the first corner. So
a lot to navigate there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But it did gain him a lot of positions. It did help because he could have a little run around, couldn't he? I'd say if you're asking me and me only, I'd say I think Trevor Mendes is probably the standout drive because amongst a load of drivers you'd expect to be further up the grid than him, he's held his own really, really well. I put Gabino a close second, and probably Vermeulen third from that because Vermeulen did what he had to do, really. So those would be my top 3 from race number 1.
How about one from silver class, maybe?
Yeah, Gabino in second of the two. So yeah, I'd say Trevor from AM and Mendes from AM. I'd say Gabino from silver because I think although Bruce Tully did really, really well, he's shown he's had that pace before, whereas Gabino's come through the field and done a really, really good job. So I'd say he's the second best, and so he's the best from AM. And I'd say that Vermeulen from Pro is just doing really good things, isn't he? Just being metronomic, relentless, and then once you do get out, go and get a gap.
Exactly what we got to do. So we're just catching some of the battles, shakers and movers from there. So this is Gordon Brown overtaking Andrew Eden, who seems to have a bit of a slide and a crash on the exit of the inner loop. I'm just looking up
They've accidentally set some of this to. I'm still in the lobby and this accidentally set some of this to be 40 minutes. So I suspect that Boston lobby hasn't been shut yet. It's now been shut. As soon as I say that.
So this is now Owen Harris overtaking Andrew Eden. I think we did catch this one on the stream. He did leave the door open a fair bit, didn't he? But I think traction in the end got him through it.
Yeah, I think it was a really good move. I think Eden's not a driver to fight unnecessarily, so I think that helped. But yeah, with Owen there, a well thought through move. It's a shame he couldn't continue it, for the entire race.
From what I've read, I believe he did have a collision with another driver, which is why he ended up in the pits.
Big shame in that case because he was doing really, really well. But his car didn't look too damaged, so I wonder if that was voluntarily pulling in. But yeah, very, very strange in that case. And what was P2 will now probably be an advantage for race number 2.
And this is obviously the move that decided so much. That was actually Travaggioli having quite a big off there, running for a long time on the grass. Still managed to hold the position for majority of a corner. before Jared Vermeulen managed to come straight back at him with the speed that he'd found around the toe.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that at all. I hadn't seen him make the mistake, but that's kind of what led to it. It wasn't then exactly, but it just as soon as you make one mistake with someone like Vermeulen on your back, then you're always on your back foot.
And then we're catching Des Townsend here, overtaking Lee Colpitts in the BMW, the black one there you can see just behind. So yeah, like I said, we'll give you a rundown of obviously what FRL's up to at the moment. So obviously you're here watching SimNet Super Sprint Sunday. If you do like what you see and like what you're hearing, share it with a friend, family member or foe. We don't mind. Just bring everybody to watch the wonderful racing at its sim racing at its very best, which is in FRL. And yeah, make sure you like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the start of any of these events that happen throughout the week. It's not just ACC. We also run iRacing, so do a course, and obviously probably be dabbling in a few of the new games that are coming out end of this year, start of next year. So obviously if you're interested in joining in any of the racing, do make sure to drop a comment under this video, and one of the administrators or owners will reach out to you with a Discord link or a SimGrid link, depending on what is necessary. And if you're already embedded in the FRL community, thank you for sticking with us. But if you want to be even more embedded, do consider joining the Patreon. Packages start at just £3 a month, and we'll be supporting all the good stuff that FRL do. But obviously what you get out of it is a reserved racing number. That racing number, if you like to carry it through all your racing, it's there. You get early access to it before anybody else. You get early access to events, your own practice server, just to name a few things, and an early insight into all the new events in early access. Obviously that is scalable. There are more benefits to be found the further you go up the ladder, but that is for you to find out. And obviously props to our sponsor as well, SimNet, for sponsoring the league and ultimately all the content you see in. Providers of high quality sim racing equipment compatible with PC and console. Envious every single time I look on there, thinking when my personal budget gets to stretch such things. And yeah, so thank you SimNet for sponsoring us and helping keep the lights on. We're just waiting for the notification that we are to go back into the server. But I couldn't help but notice we've had quite a big announcement just come up. Where'd it go? Oh, as I think we have just got a notification that the grid has now gone live, so we're going to go back to that one. Obviously when we join, we are going to go into a short 5 minutes of practice just to allow for all the drivers to join back in good time.
So it loads itself up and it says that there might be a bit of rain. I would love a little bit of rain here. I think that would be one of the toughest tracks to drive in the wet. So I would love a little bit of rain for race number 2, because it did say that it was part of forecast trying to load it up. So I do hope that we do get some, because I think that would be brilliant.
I need one of the drivers to focus on. I want my camera back. I think everybody liked that camera, didn't they?
I mean, I certainly found it easy. So if you're asking me and me only, definitely.
Seems to be the one. There we go, that's the one. The camera gods are being nice to us this evening, Jack.
Certainly better than someone like Valencia, which was horrendous. So yeah, I think they've captured it really, really well. You know, we've been able to capture moves that an action that we've not always been able to catch due to the new unique way that ACC does its camera streaming. So yeah, been much more enjoyable tonight in terms of that regard. As we can see, as ever, always keen to learn. It's Jared Vermeulen going out to have a couple of looks at the new track.
Yeah, it's no longer optimum. It is now gone to green. So, obviously, what will that mean for this man's ability to get his quick and fast overtakes done?
I think a lot of it will be for him done at the first sort of couple of laps, and then the track will start to progress. But often the best drivers thrive when the track isn't at its optimum, so I think he'll be fine. To be honest with you, I think actually if it is lower grip, we'll be able to find a grip where perhaps other drivers don't. So I think he'll be fine.
So, obviously, what we've seen in previous weeks that people don't go typically for a 50-50 strategy. What would you say is probably optimum here? Obviously, picking out different drivers, say ones that we've mentioned, say someone like Jabino, who's probably going to start somewhere in the top 20, middle of the pack. Vermeulen starting right at the back, and maybe a Trevor Mendez also maybe starting in the middle as well, or even somebody starting in the front of the grid.
If you're out of position, so to speak, I would suggest staying out a little bit longer. Because if you then pit, a lot of the drivers will be, perhaps the AM class, they'll probably just pit straight away. They'll be where they should be. But if you're somewhere where you're a little bit higher than you were expecting to be, or if you were, a driver, say like one of the AM class drivers, no, one of the pro class drivers who finished towards the back, someone like a Bosch Michiel or someone like that, you probably want to stay out a little bit longer because you might be able to build a gap. If you're where you should be, you probably want to pit within the first couple of laps, and especially here, where it can get really, really backed up. As lots of drivers will be trying to make lots of moves, you'll lose time very, very quickly if you don't. So if you're where you shouldn't be, quote unquote, then pit early. Stay out. Sorry, but if you're where you should be, especially from sort of 20th backwards, pit. And it's a really difficult pit entrance. We're seeing here now. You want to be, and that was probably considered a legal pit entry. It's fine, it's only practice, but you want to be, or you need to be towards the inside of that of that line when you're at the corner. You can't take the corner normally and then pull to the right. You have to be in that pit entrance line, in order to make your stop. So there will be drivers who might fall foul of that because it's a really, really tight apex.
Fall foul, or maybe even struggle with the drivers behind them if they're doing a tactical quick pit stop, or the latest you can do it is prior to that final turn. And what if somebody who wants to race around that corner has to run their way around you? The wall waits for them on the outside if their line is altered because of a pitting car.
They're just going to need to be careful and be mindful. It should be fairly simple with the way that corner is to see a car that's a little bit slower around it. It's a pretty long corner, it's a pretty long apex. It shouldn't be anything that surprises you. You just might have to be a little bit careful, and then just be mindful of any drivers behind you, because if it affects you, it'll affect other cars as well behind you. So I don't envisage that being a problem as long as the drivers bring the rise.
No, it's crucial as well. Obviously, they will be down on speed as they exit the pit lane exit as well. For those who are carrying speed through turn one, they're going to have to really get those elbows out. But I think it's a losing battle trying to fight up the hill after exiting the pit lane. Just lacking so much speed. You're providing slipstream. Oh, as a turn of the books, I did theorise it potentially. Zabazniak is now P1 with Serpentine, Keller and Harris. So those drivers crucially actually getting just enough laps to lead through the field.
Now, Zabazniak he's a rookie to all intents and purposes, so this will be a little bit newer for him. A couple of experienced drivers, if he's sensible, he probably won't fight Serpentine too much. But then he's got Harris and Kelleher behind, who are in his class and have shown themselves to be a little bit faster. So he's just got to play it safely with Serpentine going into turn one, and then the fight begins with Kelleher and Harris. A couple of silver drivers like a Kazakevich and a Lino, and a Jablonski, who obviously had to start from the pit lane before, who are out of position. So it's going to be a real medley, really, in the first couple of laps, I think it's fair to say.
So would you essentially, putting my tin hat on, could we possibly expect the silver drivers amongst the pros at the top in the top 10 to pit early and ultimately collapse that AM tier pack at the very top of the grid?
Depends on how much progress you make. If you're in the top 6, so Serfontaine, Kazakevich and Lino, for example, if you have a decent lap and if you do make progress, there's no reason for you to, because, ultimately you'll be towards the sharp end with relatively clear pace. Whereas if you pit, all you're going to have is a load of pro drivers coming up behind you and trying to make life harder for me from behind. So I would personally say, especially maybe towards Jablonski and Colpitts, if they can make progress, then I would suggest that they stay out.
And obviously then we start seeing the spearhead of the pro tier Popsil separates himself quite significantly from the rest of the pro tier drivers up in P13. So if he can slice through this and give himself some clean air at the front, he can really have quite an open pit strategy. And then down to Vidler, De Bont, Eden and Brown. Obviously, we know Vidler's fast, and he's probably the most out amongst the pro drivers that are there, probably the most out of position one amongst the pro drivers. He's way too fast to be ahead of the remaining pro drivers that are there. Obviously, fell to issues on the first lap in race 1, but he's primed to come through and cut through the field now. And then we've got Vidler, De Bont, Eden and Brown. Brown crucially ahead of Mendes, which he would be very thankful for after looking at the back of that Aston Martin all the last race. But now he's got another Aston Martin of Eden just ahead of him. And then obviously, as you might expect, the finishing order, as you saw it, completely reversed back here. And Brush Tully, let's see if he can hold position in front of Grace and Haymans as he tries to progress forward. As Dan Mark Davis has been sent to the pits. And we stuck on board with...
There's a man who's not hit drive. So it'll be pretty crucial for Darren Mark Davis because he was obviously quite high up in AM. So that's going to mess him up a little bit.
Now, Zabazniak's been in this position a few times through unfortunate circumstances in race 1. Let's see if the unfortunately given practice has rubbed off on him, and let's see if he can, for him, try and ace this restart. We are approaching the line now. I think that actually does set them going a little bit before. And we are go, go, go. So initial good getaway from Zabazniak, but then Serfontaine comes roaring to the outside, sweeps ahead, a nice clean move, and Harris moves through as well. Now what can Harris do here? Because he's taken one, he sees Zabazniak ahead, he gets a bit caught up in his dirty air, starts scything from side to side to consider any sort of move on him. He's going to want to get this done as soon as possible.
Safely at the back as well. All through safely, not like the first race as well, so everybody's through safely at the back, so no issues there.
As we start to get the timings through. Oh, and that's car number 78, Jablonski, bounding over the second part of the inner loop, but does regain position now. Regain control, sorry.
Contact as well at the back going into the chicanes, car 41. Which is Travaglioli, and so Travaglioli has had to pull to pits, and Adam Sharp has also retired from the race, having had a collision going into the first sector. So, yeah, that's big. Travaglioli is out of the race and won't be scoring any further points.
Oh, we're really looking forward to seeing. It's always so much more fun watching cars go through the grid when they're having to negotiate between the two of them, having an unspoken agreement from early on. And I noticed that Harris has lost the position to Kazakevich. I think maybe, as you see ahead, that's Zabazniak tangling with Kazakevich. And he's dropped well back. Oh, and now Harris, I think, did then touch Kazakevich in the rear, and that's had him wander off track, and that's allowed Kelleher around the outside. So that's Jablonski, sorry, in the McLaren, so he's nipped ahead. So the AM drivers really starting to back up now. Serfontaine, lovely and happy 5 seconds down the road.
But all of this look at the gap that Serfontaine has out front, he can really control this race now because Kazakevich and Jablonski are the two big movers in silver class. but Serpentine's got 5 seconds on the car behind, so that's really good for Renard Serpentine.
And I'm just picking up side by side, and that's with Marshall trying to go around the outside. He's got Porsche beside him, a Porsche ahead of him.
Contact, I think, between Harris and Kelleher. Kelleher turning in after the block skid past him, and I think he wasn't expecting Harris to be there. So yeah, that's pretty terrible as well for Dale Kelleher. Car 89 is bad luck, has unfortunately returned, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Harris dropping down the positions, but I think trying to work out which Porsche that is ahead of him to try and work out his position in advance. As we have moves ahead, that's Marshall going again. Yes, Harris has dropped a few positions. That Mercedes gone. So the timing screen's not really keeping up to date currently. Yeah, Marshall is, however, hunting down Jabino. What about Jablonski? Jablonski's actually through on the Porsche of Kazakevich. So, and then he's gone shooting away.
Quite a few drivers with some damage, though. There's, I think Kelleher's dropped all the way back to 22nd. He's just been passed by Marco Lino, who's got a hell and all damage over his front end, as most of the pros, especially the ones towards the back, have pitted. But Gordon Brown is one of those that has pitted. He's got a bit of a gap over the Bonds, Vermeulen and Donkin.
So I've just seen Berev dive to the inside of Zabazniak, but that's allowed Popsil. Zabazniak's poor exit at turn 1. Popsil's nipped through. And as mentioned, the guy leading the pro tier on the reverse grid, I mean, but unbeknownst to him, Andrew Eden is also right there as well.
So it's Brown leading the pit class, so to speak. The Bond has got Vermeulen all over him for 27th position. Vermeulen now going down the inside. Can he make it stick on the brakes? The Ferrari very good on the brakes. Side by side, he's level just about. Runs the Bond wide. The Bond's going to have the high ground, though, for the left-hander. But I think he's got it done before then. So Vermeulen up into second in the pit class. That's 27th position overall. And here comes Donkin now down the straight. He's going to maybe get a toe off of Vermeulen. Vermeulen's going to stay to the right-hand side just for the moment to cover off the BMW. The BMW is coming back at him, though. The Bond is going to lose out to both Donkin and Vermeulen. And yep, Jaron Vermeulen now is up into second or third now in the pit class because Marshall has come out in front, which I think will probably make short work of him in AM class.
I don't think Marshall's where you're seeing him.
He's currently 24th, and so between Brown and Vermeulen, what I can see.
Yeah,
it does look as if with the green block he has pitted. So yeah, ACC probably doing ACC things there, but
yeah, there we go. He's dropping back now, I think.
Straight into defence mode. Vermeulen now 0.8 seconds behind. I think he'll make short work of him. So I think we'll probably see this going into the first corner because of Ferrari, obviously with the quickest driver on the grid and so much more grip as well than the Mercedes. I think this should be fairly
as we do see more pro drivers now pitting. That's Popsil and Grace in the pits, along with Lino from Silver. But Vermeulen carrying great speed around turn 10.
It won't be that far ahead of him, though. Vermeulen's going to line him up down the inside. It's going to be a rinse and repeat going into the first corner. He's level just about with him. He should have the high ground going onto the brakes. Yep, that's easy enough. Later on the brakes, doesn't need to worry about running him out wide. And Marshall rather sensibly doesn't fight it. But you've got Lino, I think, still in the pit lane, just having left the pits, I think. Lino's leaving the pits. Grace, they've jumped, but it's Pospisil, who was the leader, wasn't he, on the grid, who has come out and he is very, very vulnerable to Vermeulen already. So Vermeulen, this has worked out pretty perfectly for the South African.
Brown a little bit further down the road, but not an unachievable bit of catching for Vermeulen there if he can clear Popsil. So we've got about almost pretty much exactly half the grid having pitted now, split strategies. Darren Martin Davis, realistically effective last driver on the grid not to have pitted in that currently leading pack. That's only about 15 seconds up the road, which is a lot more than the pit stop here. But Vermeulen going for the dive, is he? Oh, he had to get out and get hard on the brakes. But I think he's going to do the exact same thing again. He's going to compromise the lines all the way around the final sector, and then it's going to rinse and repeat into turn 1. But no, oh no, Popsicles let him go. Popsicles let him go. Not worth the hassle.
Probably quite sensible from Poshbushil, even if it is for position, because he's realistically not going to be able to hold on, but he can still achieve a podium from in class from that position, or certainly score some good points.
So I've just nipped forward to Wazza overtaking a Ferrari into the inner loop, and now he's got Sabazniak just ahead of him. Sabazniak, who has been dropping positions like a stone.
That's held on rather well, though. A lot of AM drivers have dropped back further. And I'll be honest, I was expecting him to go backwards because that's been such a baptism of fire for him. I was expecting him to go back a little bit further, but it's Vereth and Felix that have been the two to pass him so far. So kudos to the Polish, showing improvements.
And Jabino, I think, is going to try and nick this one just as Wazza has. He goes to the outside, cuts in, position taken. And Gedman, I think, has just overtaken Coppens down the boot, or the sole of the boot. I see a little bit further back. There's a Townsend. Here's McLaren lining up the Ferrari of Kelleher. We need to be mindful because Johnny Sharp is not too far behind. He really needs to take care because Johnny Sharp does a run on him out of the final turn. And I think he's going to take this one. Yeah, slots in. Townsend will opt for a better run out the first turn. Yep, there he goes. Look at the closing speed. But I don't think it's going to be quite enough to win this one back.
Yeah, that's pretty much the favoured move, isn't it, going into turn 1. A little bit better out the final corner, and then just nails it going down the inside. So, yeah, good stuff from Sharp there. A difficult race for him, but he'll be pleased with that one.
So, Andrew Eden, who was leading the Pro Tier from Popsil before he went into the pit, is now chasing down Vereth in the Prink McLaren. Well, that's Riching, sorry, in the Prink McLaren.
Yeah, I'm slightly confused because Clayton's there, but Clayton is a lap down. So if you see two, if you think you're seeing double, it's just that Josh Clayton is unfortunately a lap down, having hit strife earlier in the race. Yeah, the Porsche Ferreth there and Richings battling away. But we're keen to get rid of this quite quickly. He's having a little look going into there, but no more. We'll need to get a good exit off of the final corner and then do the old block pass going into turn 1. But we want to get rid of these because these are holding him up quite a bit.
Yeah, really snaking around. I think Owen's going to take a position here. It's probably Eden on Vereth rather than on Richings. The Porsche gets such good traction. The weighting and balance of positioning, balance of power doesn't really shift into the middle of the straight. Despite all the 22 kilogram ballast that the Aston Martin's pulling along, he has found himself the inside. But can he stay committed on the brakes? No, he backs out. Doesn't trust the nose of the Aston. Just snap round.
I think if he'd have tried to get it on the brakes, all he'd have done is caused some monumental accident. So fair play there to Eden. He's got to stay patient, though. I think he's been best off. He's got Clayton all behind him there. Clayton, I don't think really should be getting involved in this too much. But he's got to try and set him up out of the bus stop. There's no good trying to bus stop because all you're going to get really is shown the outside, or something like that where you just have your nose cut across. But you've got to get really so that you set the pass up out down into the chute.
The field spread is starting to occur. We do have some isolated battles occurring. Sebastian maybe thinking of a move on Ferrari Coppens ahead, but I think that's a position he's previously lost, and I think he's about to get picked off by Johnny Sharp. But Sebastian potentially thinking, no, I've dropped far enough. And crucially, we're looking for when Serpentine's going to pit.
I think you'll hang it as long as possible because you don't want to get
Sebastian spins across the track.
Trouble.
Oh my goodness! Just avoids the Ferrari of Kelleher.
Sharp and Kelleher, he managed to avoid. They did rather well, but yeah, Verith is pitted, so that frees Eden up to have a go at Richings.
I think Eden at this point just be grateful for any clear air that he can get. I think ultimately, with the gaps that are occurring, I think any person that's got even a vague chance of coming out ahead of Vermeulen. Always Verith gets a stop go 30 seconds, must have been speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's a really short braking zone there, so you have to be perfect on it, and that's obviously he was imperfect, and that's where it's coming, but it's one of the harder braking points to spot. You've got Carl Armour last week and Watkins Glen this week. Really is a bit of baptism of fire for those drivers coming into the pit lane, but yeah, that's going to disappoint. It was a really strong race, wasn't it, for Verith? That's all out the window now.
You know, I can't, other than Serpentine, by pure positioning, I'll finish my point. I can't see anybody other than maybe Serpentine actually pitting out and getting ahead of Vermeulen, who's about 5 corners behind. But even then, I think Vermeulen is going to edge it. I think Vermeulen is just driving on his own into some clean air of cars that are just pitting out the way of him. Oh my goodness, as with Eden, has just gone slamming into the wall, got a snapper out of turn 9. And he's still holding up the Aston Martin behind him. Now, was this Eden coming into the pits? Now, question is, he haven't got enough time to actually turn that damage off, because I don't think it was that severe.
Just depends on whether it does. Looked a little bit fast going into the pits, but should be fine there. Vermeulen has caught some AMs though. Well, I say he's caught. He's taking about 2 seconds a sector out of Davis in front of him, so he'll be there pretty quickly. So this is where it's going to come in. It's just how quickly you can get through that traffic. They're spaced out a little bit at the moment, but then you get to Gepman just ahead. He's got 3 or 4 drivers within close proximity to him. I think if you're Serpentine and you're Blonsky, you're just going to have to hang out as long as possible because, you know, there's no point really coming in and voluntarily getting yourself stuck in traffic.
And they would very much, as we got car 75 around. Who's that? It's Kazakevich on the outer loop. I mean, that car does look fairly beaten up at the rear, but the nose looks fairly clean. And obviously, everybody knows where the engine of a Porsche is, hanging over the back wheels. When that car wants the pendulum, it goes.
I think he's 8 now behind Gabino, and in between Gabino
sorry, Joe, we've got a 3-car battle for P5. Felix Wozza and Kazakevich. I think Wozza took him behind, but I think, I don't know if that's Felix on the inside, and he has been overtaken by, oh no, he's not managed to get position from Richings, but now Wozza is looking round the outside. Can't find the grip, can't find the traction on what will be quite worn tyres now. Cuts back in ahead of Gabino.
It's a bit like being in the playground when you're an AM driver and the Silver and the Pro come along and having the bigger boys come in and take your lunch money. Because Felix losing out to Richings, then he's got all of a sudden this big Bentley driven by one of the quicker drivers on the grid. It's right behind him, so a bit of tough luck. I think he's looking for a move down the inside. Now he's going to have to get it stopped, doesn't, wisely backs out, leaves his nose on the inside, and the Bentley's going to have to run now up the hill through the sweeping bends. Will he go through here? He will go through here. He's got to leave him some room on the inside though through the left-hander. He does. That'll compromise his exit down the straight, but I think it's done. The Bentley, the fastest car, really except the Lexus in the straight line, and that was easy once it got the McLaren out of position. So good driving all round.
This is a car that's a lap down. Thought about overtaking. Yeah, thought about overtaking. It's Josh Clayton,
so he is a lap down.
Yeah, did consider overtaking Felix there down the straight, but backed out of it. And he's going to have Gabino on his case fairly quickly. Blue flags are flying. Now Vermeulen finally coming up to the back of the cars that haven't pitted yet and starting to go through them. But was there ahead, right on the back of Richings. Richings defends to the inside, and I think that's all but a let by. Not worth fighting.
Pretty sensible from Richings. Don't lose too much time with the cars around you, because you've still got a shot of maybe getting Colpitts ahead. I know 7.5 seconds back, but the least amount of time you lose with pros, the better, really.
And I think Clayton is getting frustrated now. He wants to overtake Felix, and I reckon given any opportunity he will do. He knows how fast he is. He's usually used to being at the sharp end, as that was it into the pits.
Well, there isn't a lot of point in getting involved too much. Go around and try and score some points here, because I know you've lost a bit of time, but he's got to make sure that everything he does is pretty clean.
I mean, it's clean enough. It's basically a clean overtake, but now Felix is going to want to defend this because Gibino, it's all over him, so he's going to look to make the move back on Clayton, as much as he probably doesn't want to take it. He knows how class Clayton is, but if he's going to compromise his track position from Gibino.
If you want to know how much time was lost by not pitting early, Vermeulen has gone around, is about 15 seconds ahead by the time that Wasser has left the pit. So, yeah, Jay Wasser, not in terms of strategy, perhaps it hasn't worked out quite as he'd hoped, but he's now out ahead of Marshall, I think, in the Mercedes. So he's behind the vast majority of the pro class. So we'll see him just sort of dropping down the screen now.
Just behind Morgan Grace.
Yeah, just ahead of Marshall and behind Grace. So he's got Vidler and he's got Clayton, but no more really of all of those pros that are still running. So that's worked out pretty horribly, hasn't it, for him?
It has, and obviously this is exactly why wise old head of Jack Prentice called it early doors. Don't be pitting to come out in the sort of mid to latter mid stages of the race, because you're going to get dumped exactly in these horrible spots that we're seeing Wasser in right now. Should open a crystal ball shot, my friend.
Second. Yeah, well, some would say that I know a little bit about racing, so I don't know who they are, but there's a couple of occasions where I do get proven right. We've got Jablonski now 9 seconds behind Serfontaine. He's just metronomic, isn't he, Serfontaine? He's just setting that pace lap after lap, and it's putting him in a good position to... He's certainly going to win silver barring any dramas, but he might have a chance at overall.
And I think we've just seen, that was car 12 of Dunn returns the pits, I think from damage off the inner loop. And for Vermeulen, his next target is Coppens. Coppens, who didn't get a much so good turn one. Coppens hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, car looks horrible, isn't it? It looks like there's a lot of damage there, so I don't suspect this will be the hardest move that he'll make from Vermeulen now. Getting in the toe. Now, is Coppens going to defend? He is. So Vermeulen's going to go around the outside, and that's fairly easy. I think Coppens might have bled out of the throttle there. Don't really want to be losing too much time there with that.
I mean, is there a more infamous driver in FRL than Jared Vermeulen?
Certainly not one with as much aura as him. Certainly not one that, you know, at the moment, whether it's earned or not, which most of it is, to be fair, the aura there, the sort of feeling around Vermeulen is that as soon as he comes up behind you, he's probably going to pass you. So most drivers just don't fight him, which, rightly or wrongly, it certainly does help their race. But
move developing. Kazakiewicz thought about backing out, and then thought about it again, going into the heel on Felix. The furthest forward AM driver would be very interesting to see where he comes out. The furthest forward AM driver that is pitted is actually Trevor Mendes down in P23. He's actually got a decent gap to him with all the cars in between, but I don't think it'll be quite enough to hold the lead of the AM tier.
Yeah, Mendes is cycle back through, isn't he? He's pitted when it's the one driver that's gone against the advice in terms of if you're out of position, don't pit. He was theoretically out of position compared to usual, and he has pitted and done what he needs to do, and he's just cycled back through in front, so he's not got involved in anything silly. He's not got involved in anything silly.
So Kazakiewicz really Kazakiewicz really pushing the issue on Felix. Now Felix goes defensive to the inside, down the back straight. Nothing doing there. He looks for an extreme inside line there. I think maybe just trying to spook Felix. This is not a battle that Kazakiewicz wants to be having. His silver tier compatriots are, look, you can see him front of picture there, just down the road.
He's wasting rather a lot of time. As much as we like to see on track actions, he does line himself up for a move down the inside. He's going to have to be really brave now around the outside going up the hill, but it's wasting quite a lot of time for him, so he's got to make it stick now. Felix on the inside is going to give as good as he gets. He's got the shorter run. He can afford to run him out. In fact, he's already got the drop on him. So Kazakiewicz there, if he's sensible, he'll pit soon because it's costing him far too much time.
I mean, it's admirable defending, but ultimately, the longer form racecraft, it's not ideal. He'll come to rue all of this later on.
Both drivers will. So one of them should pit, as I think Kazakiewicz is going to line it up down the inside, isn't he? He is now. He should now take that place. But my God, he'll probably think when he looks on later on, he'll probably think that he should have perhaps pitted, got some damage fixed, and come back out with a quick race car under him.
I really thought Felix would have taken the opportunity to pit there, as we do just see that's Richings coming into the pit. So it'll be interesting to see where he cycles out from. Because he was about 20-ish seconds off the leader Serpentine. Not maybe a little bit more?
Where is he now? He's just leaving the pit lane now, so we won't see for a little while because he's quite far down the pit lane, but I suspect, oh no, he's not leaving the pit lane, he's just stopped, so yeah, that's quite far back, isn't it? I think the wheeler's going to be, he's about 40 seconds, isn't he, off the lead? So that's just quick maths. He's about 40 odd seconds off the lead.
As we catch Kazakiewicz drifting and hitting the inside of the outer loop and then losing the positions he just tried so hard to keep. And I think that is that Vidler or Vermeulen catching with the back of him. That's Vermeulen.
But Vermeulen's about to walk into another quick battle between a Silver and Felix. Felix now over to the left-hand side. Sharp's going up the inside, but this is not what Vermeulen wants to be walking into. So he wants this done as quickly as possible. With Felix there running out wide by Sharp there. Excellent move from Johnny Sharp, and did exactly the right things there.
That was almost some unintentional defending from Johnny Sharp there. He'd lost the river a little bit and made Felix want to back out. He didn't want to see what would happen at the end of the rear stepping out. But Vermeulen looking around the outside.
Felix defended admirably. He's not a man to give up, is he, Felix? But
and with the cutback, Vermeulen now cuts ahead and goes through.
Yeah, a bit of wager more with futility there, isn't it, from Felix? So now Sharp's got to manage the traffic behind. So that is not lose as much time as, or lose as little time as possible, whilst probably being overtaken by Vermeulen. It's probably going to be the name of the game here.
But Cruz, a bigger battle going on for position, more outright position. This is De Bont chasing Popisil. Popisil, who's the furthest ahead on the start of the race from the Pro Tier. Hunting potentially last the podium spots in the Pro Tier, but BMW really looking aggressive against the Porsche. Porsche, as ever, getting good strong traction out of turn one. They can see Brown up ahead, and either one of them will have pace to trouble Brown, but they need to sort out their affairs here. Oh my God, he uses the grass to the inside. Goes De Bont, and oh my God, he makes it. That's a fantastic move. I think that's probably move of the day.
Great move down the inside. Kind of engineered a gap using the grass there a little bit. Probably frightened Pospisil out of the way. Pospisil quite risk-averse driver when it comes to things. So, relied on Pospisil being a risk-averse, but excellent move from De Bont there. And, to get it stopped at that tight a corner, you have to be so good on the brakes.
And we've also got Kazakiewicz trying to retake this position on Felix. So all the fighting is already done. He's going to have to do it all over again, or cycle through the pits and take a gamble where you might come out. And actually, I think he'd probably come out somewhere behind Keller right now, to be honest. Down in P27. As he thinks about it. Is he doing it?
Keller had pitted from 13th. Not sure the stewards would like the pit entrance. Kelleher hits about 13, so I think Kazakevich will be okay, but it just depends on whether we fix the damage or not. Because Kelleher now back in 27th, obviously having hit problems earlier in the race. Yeah, I think he'll come out, if my maths is correct, he'll come out about 25th, I would have thought, 24th, 25th.
So I'm just picking up De Bont. After clearing that move to Poppersill, as I mentioned, Brown, not unattainable at catching ahead. The Lamborghini's top line speed is not optimal. It also doesn't like the curbs at the inner loop. So here comes De Bont, bringing himself closer and closer within a second. All as a drive-through for Kazakevich. After all of his strife, rubbing salt into the wounds, he's now got a drive-through.
Yeah, that's race over, isn't it? So he'll be coming out, quite far back, but that is race over for Kazakevich as he comes out in what I think will be, he's coming out 22nd, behind 23rd, sorry, behind Chris Gerben. So what was still a fairly strong finish is now all over.
There's a slow car number 32.
That is Wazza. That's Wazza who's got back going again. So he's lost out to... Where's he gone back? He's gone way back, isn't he? He's behind Mendes, I think, Wazza. Yeah. It's exactly where he drops back. But he's
in front of Brush Tully. Brush Tully's there, unless he's a lap... No, he's a lap down.
Brush Tully was involved in the shenanigans early on, I think, which saw Sharp get driven into actually down the straight. So I think Brush Tully was involved in either the cause or the aftermath there. So that would explain why he's so far back, because there was quite a few drivers that got swept up in that. Now
another pro driver that's trying to cycle back through, Vidler, who's been in a bit of trouble tonight, is now catching Marshall. And the rear gunner to Vermeulen, lining this up nicely. He's got much better drive than the Mercedes at the final turn. How methodical does he want to do this? Takes a really tight inside line. He's going to bog down on the exit. Marshall's going to come back, but in the end, Vidler covers the line, and once he gets his power down, it's going to be quite tricky to overtake if they head up the hill.
How's Vidler gone that far back? Because he was starting in a fairly favourable position, wasn't he? For
Marshall's coming back. Marshall around the outside, but I think Vidler's going to be better on the brakes.
Yeah, Marshall.
Marshall.
We're getting involved there.
And I think that Kalugin's going to get him here, unless he can regain it. Kalugin down the inside. Too much loss of speed, but Marshall's going to fight it all the way around the outside. Finds himself on the marbles momentarily. Marshall does dive it back to the inside, but then gets on the grass. Can he avoid Kalugin? Yes, he can. And Kalugin, and he's finally through, nose fully ahead. Yeah,
a bit needless, really, from Marshall. Great for us because it provides a bit of action, but completely needless on his part because he's, tried to wage war with a different class, and all he succeeded in doing is hamstringing himself for Kalugin to get behind his risen up the field quite sensibly, Kalugin. So very needless there from Marshall.
Here's a battle for the books. Some of the leading silver drivers currently sat 2 and 3 in class out. The drivers in the silver tier that have pitted. This is Jabino on Richings for P14 overall, as we see Kalugin in the background just tagging a bit of the wall. I do think that McLaren is a little bit faster in a straight line, but he didn't get the best exit up the hill though.
Got less damage too, which might help, but Richings here I'm expecting to keep hold of it here now as Gabino tries to go around the outside. He's not going to make it there, I don't think. Richings just needs to keep the inside covered, which he does. A little bit of brakes, but well controlled there from Richings. And Gabino has a little bit of damage on the Ferrari, so that's going to make it hard. It looks like the rear end's got quite a knock, so that'll make it pretty unstable through those fast-flowing corners.
And Marshall has not given up on Kalugin, but as he takes an awful lot of grass, And I know he's got quite a low sitting spoiler on that, but I don't think the groundsmen at Watkins Glen need any assistance this time of year. And I've picked up Townsend as well. He's got Thacker closing in. These are for the midfield positions in the AM tier. And they're actually closing in on Felix. Felix, who we did say has cost himself an awful lot doing what he did earlier with Kazakevich. Kazakevich, who, as you may have seen, obviously has dropped really far back in all the exchanges. Oh, Saka has a little look. Townsend unflat. So not long left now. We've got 5 3/4 minutes left of the pit window. Serpentine doing such a good job maintaining such a commanding gap.
Yeah, he really has driven away from Jablonski, hasn't he? He was sort of keeping it at 5 seconds for a little while, but now he's got half a minute. He'll probably come out looking at this behind Vermeulen. Vermeulen's just been non-stop, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Hasn't met much resistance, but
I think the key thing here would be if he's actually able to come out in front of Brown or De Bont. That'd be the real key.
yeah, it won't matter too much from a class point of view, but from a pride point perspective as well, if you can still finish on the podium, then that'll do him the world of good.
So this battle for P22 is really hotting up from Felix backwards, really starting to stack these cars up. But I've noticed amongst the drivers just closing and backing out of moves periodically. As Townsend fancies move around the outside, but the track does drop away there. Thinks about a wide entry line. Both cars drift wide and hope to find some more speed and traction wider on the track.
This is for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th in AM class. This does matter. This isn't just a load of drivers having to go for the hell of it. This matters. All of this is for position in class.
Yeah, and obviously, I think, and that is, yeah, that's all of the AM tier having pitted, as you suspected.
I've lost a couple of drivers, though, haven't we, for collisions, I suspect. Here is, I think Townsend's got a really good run now down the inside.
He does.
Goes out to the inside early enough. Felix there is going to have to hang it right round the outside. If Townsend gets his braking right, this should be a block pass. Hasn't got his braking right. Felix really does hang it round the outside, but he's got another problem in that Townsend's got the shorter run. Through turn 2 they go, I think. Townsend's going to be able to get the drop on him through here, although Felix is still hanging it round there.
Oof.
But Townsend just about, that's less scary than it looks, but Townsend, yeah, getting the drop on him there. Nice block pass there from Darren Townsend.
And Thacker getting on the aggressive a little bit further back, but these two will be scared, throwing a big one just in case they run into Felix ahead, having given the proximity between the cars. I think Wazza has got past Gedman. We've missed that one, but he's moved forward to P19. And further ahead in the silver tier, we're still waiting to see how Serpentine. Serpentine has pitted, and he's actually 3rd on the road.
I think that's possibly because I don't think Sharp's pitted yet. So
if you actually look at, refer to the map, you can see Jared Vermeulen going around the outer loop. And Serpentine just going around the inner loop there. So Serpentine 3rd on the road. And or was it second? Car 27.
He's second on the road. I think car 27 isn't a factor. Car 27 is a lap down Stan Mark Davies 29, so he's not a factor. So he's second on the road, which he'd have took. He's still got Sharp behind him. Sharp hasn't made a stop, and that rear end really does look beaten up. So Really, yeah, as about close to perfection as you could get from Serpentine there. He's going to be quite comfortably, I think, out in a podium position there.
Absolute race planning masterclass. And at the considering where the two started on the grid, to only actually be 10 seconds off Vermeulen come close of event over 40 minutes, that's a substantial drive.
Yeah, Serpentine could be really pleased with that. I mean, yes, okay, he had Spaziak on the inside of the front row, but as soon as he got in the lead, he just drove away, didn't he? Got away and really managed that race really, really well. So, yeah, kudos to him. And now it's Jablonski, who's certainly facing rearwards because he's got 4 pros behind him. He doesn't want to let them get too close. He doesn't want to lose too much time because Colby's only 10 seconds off the back of this.
As did the Aston Martin of Eden behind. But now Brown takes to the inside. The Lamborghini will take it. It's got a fantastic nose on it. But he's not found the traction, strange. I think he got a little bit of a bump from the curb. And this invites the Bont up his inside for the fast left.
That'll be a source of much frustration, Brad, because he's kind of boxed in here. Because the Lamborghini, I can get why he's trying to pass him because he's going to lose out too much. But DuPont, they're opportunistic. Brown the outside. Can he nail it? He's going to have to get it done on the brakes, and he does. That's excellent driving. Can he hold it? Because he's just over the curb. And now Brown is not only vulnerable to Hyman's behind, but he's also looking at DuPont. DuPont now got a bit of a task ahead of him. I think the BMW should have the legs going down into the chute, down into the left-hander, and I think that's that. Pit window closes, and I think DuPont has managed to get his man there as we're going on to the final lap very, very shortly, I think.
Oh, as Brown absolutely cuts Heyman's off, but rightly so, he was fully ahead. Forces a line change. So this is for big, big positions. This is for top podium positions in both classes. Jablonski trying to hold on and not be thwarted and caught up in a battle when he can get P2 in class. And then we've got DuPont, Brown and Heymans all fighting for P2 in class or podium positions. Currently DuPont is leading that charge. Heymans tries to do it to the inside to the penultimate bend. I think that's going to compromise him going through the final turn. He's going to have to collect himself. I think DuPont is going to get done what Brown couldn't do in the previous lap. He needs to be certain about it because he saw what happened to Brown when he tried it. Backs out of it, tucks in. Oh, and he gets a big slide. All 3 go off track. All 3 trying to carry absolute maximum speed through the first turn. But which one of them kept it off the marbles? Which one of them has got to drive? I dare say it's Brown.
Yeah, Brown's now going to do to DuPont what DuPont did to him. He's going to have a look around the outside. Lamborghini a demon on the brakes, but I don't think it's going to happen because DuPont managed to, he's managed to just about hold on through the chicane there, and now his best chance is going to have to be a bit of a Hail Mary, probably into tow. So he's going to have to set him up here. He's going to go down the inside here. I'm not sure that's going to work. He's going to try and have to set him up into tow because it's an uphill braking point, so you can brake a bit later. I don't think it's going to happen for the Scotsman.
No, it's going to be tough. Obviously, we are just watching on the mini-map Jared Vermeulen coming through the final few turns. We will give him a short moment of glory and then flip back to this. But DuPont is having to go defensive. So here's Vermeulen overtaking, I believe that's Clayton, who doesn't want to take another lap.
Well, he's still up the inside, mind. He's still up the inside. I think he's got him. He's got DuPont. I think if he can just hang it round. DuPont has a snap of oversteer. Heyman's now looking to capitalise here. Trying to follow Brown down the inside. Brown gets him.
Just about gets it done.
Yeah, he's going to have to block him. It's fine. If he can just stay on the apex, which he does, he's going to get second place. It's a brilliant battle, and well recovered there from Gordon Brown to take second in class and fourth on the road.
So what a four-way battle going in there. Popsicle just joining the end there. Then Morgan Grace comes home in P9, just slightly off the battle. And then we've got Donkin in a really nicely greyed out Mustang. Has he run out of...
I think he might run out of fuel.
Oh no! So he's losing out to Vidler as well. Oh no, and Colpitts, that was his podium. He's on the final step of the podium and he's lost it. Disaster.
Pretty
Fantastic
gut-wrenching.
win from
for
Mendes in the AM tier.
Watkins.
Marshall third, Kalugin in third. A few drivers here that are a lap or so down. And so these were the positions we were looking at earlier. Keller, Felix, Thacker, 4th, 5th, 6th in the AM tier, and that's how they finish. Kazakevich with rotten luck tonight. He comes over the line, and there are your finishing positions.
Look at Mendes again, up as AM leader in 13th. I think that's brilliant again. He's gained 13 places on the grid, which, you know, for an AM driver you would not expect to happen in race 2. So kudos to him for that. I think he's been brilliant across both races.
He has, so he definitely gets the nod for driver of the day for the AM tier. This is a real toss-up between Serpentine and Gibino for silver tier, but with the gap that Serpentine found there, I daren't say it. I'd want to give it to Serpentine.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think we need to do pro, do we? I don't think we need to do pro.
Well, our instructions were to give one to anyone other than Vermeulen, so...
Yeah, there's no point having the conversation. He's been pretty peerless, hasn't he?
But if I'm going to give it to somebody who has progressed through, kept the nose clean, Vidler did a good job coming back, but I think he was starting maybe mid-pack anyway. I'd probably say De Bont, maybe, because he did make the most of his starting position.
He's poor qualifying as well. I think he's done really well to get the couple of results that he has had.
Yeah, so I'd put forward Serpentine, De Bont, and Mendes for any admins that are listening. If you want to jot those down,
I can't disagree with that at all.
So we're going to get the highlights, and we're going to take you through those. So, in terms of the event. That is your SimNet Super Sprint Sunday. It's becoming more and more of a mouthful. Later it goes on into the evening. My mouth gets drier. Concluded, obviously, you had 2 fantastic sprint races there. One with a pit, one without. And do you have anybody that you want to maybe watch in the opening lap for this one?
I want to watch what happened to Adam Sharp, to be honest with you, because there was a big old collision. And I've seen it from his... Oldboard, he posted it in a chat. I mean, so us we were talking about this. I've seen it, but I want to see because it happened going into the bus stop, and there were 3 wide throughout the first corner. But yeah, I want to see exactly what happened there because I don't think we have a proper answer there. As we've got 2 of the drivers from the sharp end joining us for a chat post race. We'll get to them shortly. But
so speaking of the sharp end, here is Sharp navigating the first turn. He's nice and calm on the outside.
Yeah, he's got around that pretty well, isn't he? But
I mean, he's boxed in right now, so I'm not sure that plays any part into what's going to happen next. Does seem to drift a little bit wider. He's on the marbles to the outside.
And then he was to the outside going into the bus stop and then got a whack from the side going down the straight. So I don't know
and that was Travaglioli, and he's sent... Yeah.
Oh.
That would explain his retirement then, and explain why Travaglioli wasn't
And then
present
there I am going slow
for
through. There I am just going slow.
So looking from an onboard position. So it's Travaglioli going out into the Porsche. I'm not quite sure who that is, and then ultimately into Sharp.
Yeah, so Brusciulli there with his opening race. The good thing for Brusciulli is it doesn't look like it was his fault, but he survived.
And then we've got Zabazniak being overtaken by Jochen Vireth. And then crucially, I think that is Pop still behind.
Peugeot. Yep. Yep, that's Porsche Peugeot.
So Zabazniak doing much better this week, I'd say, of navigating his persistent baptisms of fire and cleanly letting the drivers through that needed to go through. So I'm not sure if you'd heard it on the stream in the background, Gogs, but we have given Drive of the Day nominations to Serpentine, Mendez, and
Vermeulen.
No,
Vermeulen and De Bond, I think, but Vermeulen's in his own class. So
I would have gone for Brown. I would have gone for Brown. I mean, he had a good race too.
Oh, shucks. Thanks.
You did, because you started what? Just a couple of places ahead of me, didn't you?
20 something.
Yeah, so I mean, you're like 10 places ahead of me. So.
and this is what looks like Jabino engaging in a bit of off track to get this position from Andrew Eden. And this is DeBont on Duncan. Duncan, I'm not sure if you caught it at the end, either of you two, but looks like actually ran out of fuel when he was in a podium position for the silver tier.
No, really?
yeah, he lost drive across the line.
Oh no.
Is that what he said in the chat?
Well, he just stopped accelerating and let culprits through, so I'm only assuming that he lost drive or something happened.
He had demons to atone for.
This will be fun because I heard Gedman talk about this in party chat. Duda and Wazar all race, he would not stop talking about them. Boom! There it is.
Oh dear.
Oh.
And backwards.
Oh no.
Bentley power. Here it is. I watched this. I'm so tempted to go back into it. It's just so much faster than anything else in a straight line. Look at it go. Brilliant.
Around the outside as well.
Using 4 traction in a Ferrari.
And then this is Townsend being overtaken by Johnny Sharp.
Lovely little box in there.
There's
Good move, Sharp.
Kelleher. Ahead.
Nice.
Yeah, there's obviously lots of textbook moves going to turn 1 tonight. A lot of respect given, no squeezing, no running out. It was really good to see.
And that's the highlights.
So obviously we've got you two in here. Obviously, we didn't necessarily go on your car that much, but we did track your progress with the timing screens. It just kind of looked like it opened up for you throughout the pits, and you didn't have to actually take that many overtakes.
Yeah, I probably had to overtake like 10 people. So it kind of worked out for me. The start chair, as you can see, my green car, I'm just relaxing at the back. Because in chat, Grant would say, I said there's going to be a crash, there always is coming into the chicane. So I was like, I'm going to take it easy, and then chaos happened. And luckily, I was able to get through everything. You'll see me now. Look, you see like how slow I'm going over there. See, I'm just chilling.
They're still crashing.
They're still crashing. I'm going slow, man. I'm just taking my time. Like I don't care if I lost like.
Oh, and there's another car.
Yeah, then I had to go off track. Yeah, you'll see me coming onto the track there. So it was an eventful first couple of corners, but then that was pretty much it for my race too. It was just pitting in. Then I just had to overtake a few people.
Jared, you've got that much aura that people just I watched it. People just getting out of your way.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like I had to overtake. I mean, okay, let me say actually overtake 5, like an actual overtake. The rest on track, it was like I said, they would just make it easy. You know what I mean? It wasn't like yeah, only from my memory, only 2 people made it hard, like really defended for their lives. But besides that, yeah, it was pretty simple. And that's common sense, you know. I think, you know, you got to race your own race. There's no point defending a person coming through and losing your own race time to defend a guy that's already miles ahead of you on, you know, timings. So overall, it was a clean race, I have to say. Besides that first stuff, everyone was fair. It was nice, and yeah, it just was just driving around. Not as exciting as race 2 was, as race 1 was. But yeah, it's still a race, and it was enjoyable. Yeah.
But I tell you who probably was flying on the seat of their pants was Brown. I mean, you by the end of it, it was a 4-way battle for second in class. So how did that feel?
Please tell me you have it on stream.
We have a large amount of it, yes.
Oh my goodness. Jazz will attest to this, but I took everyone's ears off, I think, coming round the third to last corner. I just snuck up the inside of the bot. Fair play to both himself and Hymans. And Jablonski to a degree as well. They both kept it, they all kept it clean. Everyone was well behaved, made it possible to race in that close a pack for the last couple of laps. But yeah, I am elated. I think I'm going to have to go and explain now to my fiance why I've been screaming for the past 10 minutes. But yeah, no, that was fun, and I think Jazz alluded to that there as well. Just about racing your own race. And he caught me in about 5 seconds in about 2 laps, and I just double upshifted on the exit from one of the corners, let him go past and just followed him and look at the result.
Yeah,
you know, just driving your own time, don't get involved. You know, I don't like being that type of driver. I like normally making people fight for it, but I'm very aware of who I'm fighting in the championship, and I'm aware one of those people is Adam Sharp. Which I never thought I'd be saying at the start of the season, but he's the driver directly ahead of me, and I think Wazzer as well. And given the positions there in that race, I think it's quite a good result for myself, so I'm quite happy with how it unfolded.
And I think that's crucial for any budding or less experienced racing drivers to hear is, I mean, speed is one thing in this, and obviously speed will solve a lot of issues for you, as Jared obviously regularly finds out. And knows, but actually planning your race and being consistent and doing all those little buzzwords, anything but out and out pace, just gives you position. It gives you positions, gives you advantages, and it puts you in prime positions to ultimately leap up the grid just from opportune circumstances.
Yeah, it's a very hard track to overtake here as well. You can defend the inside to a lot of corners, and you can cause people a lot of trouble, a lot of mistakes going through the bus stop as well. So it's just, you know, I guess I don't want to say experience. I'm not actually that experienced. I've only been doing this for like 2.5, 3 years. But it's just knowing, you know, racing in general. You know, just knowing where to put your car, when you need to take less speed into a corner. Like here, see it there, don't you can just catch it just behind this battle. I boxed in the bot behind me, sorry, the Mustang, whoever that is, in behind me.
That's Donkin, I think.
Donkin, yeah. Stopped them getting the drive up the hill, slammed on the brakes as the Porsche spins in front of me there. You know, just knowing that there's a lot more to it than just going flat out all the time. I think should give a lot of drivers who aren't maybe necessarily in the pro tier. I don't want to say hope, because that implies it's hopeless, but it gives them, you know, a way to look at the situation without thinking, right, they're faster than me, I can't catch them. There's other ways around it. There's always another option.
I mean, obviously,
right. There's always another option.
I mean, credits to someone like Serpentine, example. I mean, we noted towards the end of the coverage that all in all, I mean, I know you started at different ends of the grid, Serpentine and Vermeulen, but to only have, what was it, a 15-second gap at the end, you basically split strategies and finished 15 seconds apart for a driver that's in a whole tier below him. and over a race distance where both of you have been untroubled.
Yeah, I think it comes to that, but that's reverse grid racing, right? You know, you start higher up. It gives you options. You know, you can race against people that you don't normally race against. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I'm here. I like reverse grid racing, and you know, I was having a look, and then I was a bit worried about him once I had some clear air, but then I saw that I was catching him enough, so then I started to relax a bit. But he had actually very good pace. I think he was quite far ahead of the next silver guy. I think as well, on a similar strategy as him. I think he had a good race.
He was. I think it was about 13 seconds we had it to ahead of the next silver driver.
Yeah, so he was having a good race, and it's nice to see when a silver driver has a good race like that.
So yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful commentating tonight. We have even more racing coming through on Super Sprint Sunday. The next track, I'm making sure I read it. Barcelona.
It's the final round. It's the decider.
With a 60 minute.
Yeah, so I'm glad you touched on that. I'll give a very quick overview of what's happening. Next race, there will not be a qualifying session. The grid will be decided in reverse grid order from the championship, but sort of separated by tier. So the pro drivers will take places 1 to 14, with Jazz in 14th, I think that'll be.
Yep.
And then whoever's last in pro will be in pole position. And then the silver drivers will do the same, so last in silver will be 15th. All the way down, I think, if my maths serves me correctly, that'll be 28th, and then 29th will be last in AM, and then the first in AM will be at the back of the grid.
And is that for race 1, or is it just one race, or 2 races?
One race.
One race.
So,
one race.
Yeah, we've got one race. It's a 60-minute race. We'll have one mandatory pit stop in there, but it's going to be for tyres, mandatory stop, so you'll be driving at sprint race speed the entire time. You'll always have fresh tyres. You of course don't need to take that pit stop in the middle, but I think that's probably going to be the optimal strategy, just to keep the pace up.
Yes.
But obviously you've got undercut involved. You may feel a bit comfortable going longer to get the offset on the tyre degradation later on in the race to give yourself a faster car at the end. It's going to open things up. It's a bit different, but it's still there is a pit stop, but you're still always on that sprint. So it's going to it's something a bit different for this season. See how it goes. I'm quite looking forward to it, to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely spices things up, and obviously for a finale as well, it really does throw the cat amongst the pigeons.
It's double points.
Oh, and double points.
You're gone with the Bernie Eccleston.
There's only one race. There's only one race, so it's double points to make up for the fact there's only one race. So you still score the same points for the round. But because in these races there's 2 races, to have one race in the final round would mean it's worth less. So by doubling, so instead of getting 14 points for a win, Jazz will get 28 points for his win.
I would ask if the same thing could be applied to Taco Tuesday so I can do well, but I never have been good at Barcelona, so...
Yeah, same, to be honest. It's not a track I've actually raced on. It's been quite hard to get in the admin team to agree to put it on the calendar, to be honest.
It looked like the worst track in the world with GT cars.
Yeah, you really loved it last time we were at Barcelona, didn't you? Especially after the red flag restart. You found it very fun.
Yes,
We'll talk about that though. We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. All right, guys. Thank you very much for the stream, and I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Make sure you watch it back. It was a fun one.
I definitely will watch it back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thanks again for your commentary tonight, and I completely concur with your driver of the day. Mendes was incredible today, especially in race 1. He had the widest Aston Martin I've ever seen in my life. The serpentine pace is always there, but when he hooks it up, he is dangerously consistent. It's hard to look past Jazz as well, his driver of the day. The bot was really quick as well. So however way you want to look at it, yeah, completely agree with you guys. But I'll let you go. Thanks very much for having me on, and have a good night.
See you next week.
Next week.
So yeah, obviously saying goodbye to those 2 guys, pillars of the community, and obviously we're going to say goodbye. We're not without reminding you once again that you can get involved with all things FRL sim racing at its very best. This SimNet Super Sprint Sunday, sponsored by SimNet, providing high quality racing equipment to you in your home. If you want to join in with the racing that you're seeing on your screens, you can do. Drop a comment underneath this video, and an admin will reach out to you with a link to the relevant racing areas. If you're already embedded in the FRL community, do make sure that you consider signing up for the Patreon. Packages start at just £3 a month, and that gives you access to your favourite race number as a priority, your own practice server, and early access into events and knowledge of league developments. You get the juicy details long before humble commentators like myself and Jack do. And also, if you just fancy just staying on as a person who watches the stream, do make sure you like and subscribe to FRL's YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to make sure you never miss a race going live. We're on most days of the week, especially late night on Thursdays. And yeah, come and watch us do what we do best. Have a good evening, guys. I've been Greg.
I've been Jack.
And have a good evening. Bye.
Good evening.